Fantasy novels are my thing right now, and I love reading more fantasy novels, and particularly rereading them, because fantasy is just such an awesome genre, and it's just awesome to be rereading the books that I read before and reanalyze them and talk about them more often, which is why I have started this book review series, you can say, where I have been reviewing Mortal Instruments series. I am rereading the novel series. I have read 4 books before and I'm rereading them and reviewing them on this channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the second book in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, which is The City of Ashes. I've already reviewed the book 1, City of Bones, on this channel. I'll link the video in I button or in the description down below, so do check out that review as well. Let's get started with the book review of City of Ashes. Hi there, I'm Manpreet. I make book related videos on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, and if you're new here, please make sure you subscribe, turn your notifications on, and let's get started with this video. Remember to turn your notifications on, okay? Otherwise, you would not ever know that I posted another video, and I'm very regular at posting videos. Whole video would be about City of Ashes, but this little part of, let's just say, 1 minute or half a minute would be the basic review of this novel. After that, I would discuss it more in detail, but I can't really give you a disclaimer that it would be spoiler free, okay? So, spoiler free review of mine would be like, this book was certainly better than the first book. Honestly, I feel like all the books in the Mortal Instruments series up until book 4, which I have read, I think they are better as compared to City of Bones, because it's very slow and the writing is not smooth and flowing enough. Some writings are just like, okay, I have to read word by word, I can't pick up speed, and the first book is like that. I felt like it was very boring, even though there were very interesting elements, even though it introduces you to this awesome world of shadow hunters. It was not my cup of tea. I have read it 2 times now, and both times I would say, like, yes, I love the plot, I love the characters, I love the story in itself, but the writing is not that smooth, and things could have been much better. But the moment you start the City of Ashes, you'll be like, this has been written by a different person, because the writing becomes so much better. If writing was 5 out of 10 in City of Bones, it's 8, or you can say 9 out of 10 in City of Ashes. It's just so amazing. There are a lot more jokes, it's funny, and it's beautifully written. I love this book because of that. And I remember City of Ashes, when I read last time, I enjoyed it, but it was still boring, and I would still stick by those views in a way. But I think it was more interesting to me, because it was like I knew everything that was about to happen. So I was not going into it with heavy expectations, and I was not expecting a lot. So I took my time to really read the lines and really understand and laugh at the jokes. And just see what characters are doing right now, and just silently tell them, dude, you should be doing this, dude, this is not the case, dude, he's your brother, and stuff like that. So I personally enjoyed rereading this book. I like reading it as well. For somebody, I know a lot of you come to me and say, Manpreet, Mortal Instruments series, not really interesting, I couldn't get into it. Honestly, the same here. But I am just fascinated with this author, who has just imagined this such a huge and such an amazing world. And because I'm so hell-bent on liking this author, I am liking her a lot. Yeah, there are bad parts, and I am just like, ignore the bad parts, Manpreet, just see what are the good parts, and it has been a pleasant journey to do that. I really enjoyed reading this book. Again, I would really recommend you guys to start Mortal Instruments series, because it's a very nice fantasy world, okay? You will start enjoying it, and you will start appreciating it, and this is what all the fans also say. So I believe them, and I would ask you to believe them and me, okay? And start Mortal Instruments series and keep reading it. If you want to read along with me, do follow me on my Instagram, and I'm on book 4 at the moment, so let's read together. Overall, I feel like I gave it 3 or 3.5 out of 5 stars in last review of mine. That was about 2 years back. I would like to give it 4 stars now, because I enjoyed reading it. I really enjoyed reading it. Now when I'll start the spoilers part, you will understand why, okay? You will understand why. So this is your disclaimer. Please stop watching this video if you do not want to get spoiled. Please stop watching this video if you haven't read the Mortal Instruments series. Please, you may say that, Manpreet, I don't want to read it ever again. No, you're still not watching this video, so close it right now, okay? And the other ones, let's move on to the spoilery review of City of Ashes. I'll try not to give many spoilers, but I am not giving you any disclaimers here. So, it's a spoilery review. So going through the plot, I think it's really important for me to go through the entire plot of the books because I want to be able to watch these videos later on and understand what happens in the book. Because see, if I had already done that, I wouldn't have to read all 4 books once again to continue reading the series. So I have to talk about the plot. So the plot begins with Maris Lightwood. Please do not judge me on the pronunciation. So Maris Lightwood comes into the picture and she throws Jace out of her house, and Jace picks up a fight with werewolves in the werewolf club. But before that, the very introduction is with Alec understanding that he didn't really kill the demon, but he's still thankful to Clary about that. And I really like the friendship that's gonna build between Alec and Clary because yeah, that's pretty nice. Jocelyn is in the hospital, still half dead. So after that, Inquisitor Amathys comes into the picture. Honestly, you would hate this woman. You would hate this woman. And she puts Jace into jail, not once, twice. Why did you do that? So she puts Jace into the jail and he's in the Silent City. And then Valentine comes in and he kills all the Silent Brothers. You keep moving forward with the plot. Do not stop reading this book. And then you find that Magnus Bane asks Jace to go to the Seelie Court where they meet this Seelie Queen. Soon enough, things tumble downwards and Queen asks Jace and Clary to kiss and Simon becomes a vampire. And there is another werewolf that comes into the picture, Maya, and she is attacked. The overall plot that's happening in this book is that there are downworlders who are being attacked and drained of blood. Werewolf boy, Maya, another werewolf. There's a warlock. And in the finale, Valentine takes Maya and Simon with him. And then Clary comes into the picture and she finally decides to be a strong character. And she gets too strong in the end and just blows up a ship. And lastly, it has a very sad ending in a way that Simon and Clary break up and Jace and Clary break up. Honestly, romance in the Shadowhunter novels is one of my favorite parts. And I feel like this was very heartbreaking in the very end. It was like a good finale. But then it was like, okay, you broke my heart twice. Because if I felt like Jace and Clary couldn't be together, I would feel like Simon and Clary should be together. But you just killed both of these two romances. Why did you do that? Discussing the overall book, I feel like this whole book is about Jace and Clary, brother and sister, being in love. The whole Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister vibes going on here, but without the adult stuff. And maybe the extremely wicked characters, or maybe there was one wicked character. Discussing characters, there were lots of new characters. Max was there. You would not really notice Max much, but I would say pay attention to Max, okay, in this book. Pay attention to him, otherwise you will regret that in the next book. Maris Lightwood is there. You know, I really liked her. Inquisitor is there. Again, pay attention to the Inquisitor because you will regret that if you don't do that in this book, okay? Then Luke's character has more role in this book, which I really liked because I really like Luke as a character. And Maya is also there. I begin to like her in the book itself. I really liked her backstory and all that stuff. So I really liked it in that way. Honestly, I feel like this book starts much better as compared to book 1. Book 1 really weirds people out and really makes a lot of people stop reading because of how it begins. But you know, this book is a powerful, powerful beginning. It's definitely humorous, and you will come to know that Cassandra Clare is really known for this thing, like the humor in her books. I think Christine also made a video about funny books and she included Model Instrument series. Christine made it or Rema Books made it. I don't know. I'll link it down below. She definitely included this book series, and I was like, if you do not include this book series in those funny books videos, I would be disappointed. And she didn't disappoint me because these books are really hilarious. Like, you don't really want comedy books, okay? I personally do not like the books which are written to be funny, okay? I like the books which are written to be something else, but they're also funny. So this is written to be a fantasy, and it's also funny, and it's also romantic at times. So I like that in fantasy novels. The subplot, because fantasy novels, I feel like they are hard to write and they make a reader expect too much. A great fantasy novel has everything. A little bit of romance, a little bit of thrill, like all the genres put together in this one novel. Yes, that's what you have to do when you write a fantasy novel. So it's pretty amazing. I love the people who write fantasy novels and who write good fantasy novels, okay? I have to say that. Anyway, I feel like rereading the book was much better because honestly, the way I laughed, the way I appreciated everything, it was really, really good. And yeah, I feel like first time I read the book, I was really appalled by the whole Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister thing going on in this book, and it took a lot of time for me to get over it and actually get into the rest of the plot of the book, which really I think affected my whole reading of the book. I won't talk about what changed, but yeah, this time it was just a little bit better to read those things, okay? Because see, when you're reading for the first time, you read too fast, and I read it too fast. It was a young adult novel written in a very smooth manner. I just flew through it and I missed a lot of clues. Those clues make it much more interesting. There are so many clues to so many things in this whole book that it's worth rereading the novel, okay? It's worth rereading it. I just am so happy and I feel blessed that I gave it a chance and I reread it. But at the same time, I feel like now I have read the third book and the fourth book, so I'm okay with it. But all these clues do not really get answer to most of them in this book, which I feel like if you're reading it for the first time, it will make you disappointed, and which makes me feel like my ratings 3.5 or 3 stars was very justified in that manner, because you will be disappointed because all these clues would lead to nothing in this book and you'll be like, okay, so what about all those things you made me curious about? So you're gonna make me wait until the next book? It's just like an annoying thing which authors sometimes do. Yeah, I get it. I want that thrill. I want that mystery part, but give me some answers before you go away, right? So this book doesn't have those answers. So yeah, don't be surprised if you get a little bit annoyed at the end of this book, for you did not get answers to those clues. You will get those answers, but in the next book. Next, I really want to talk about Lightfoots, because the family and the family bond that really made me happy and really made me enjoy this book. Of course, Mary's kick stays out, but you still get to see her motherly affection for this kid and to see how she passed on this amazing affection to her daughter Isabel as well. It's just nice. Again, I loved Maya and her little backstory because it was so powerful and it was so like surprising, but like in a really good way. So I really liked it. And I developed a very good appreciation for Jace's character. I feel like this book explores Jace in a very good manner. He has so many layers. I love characters with layers. I mean, look at him, how he has a very dark, agonized side hidden beneath the layer of this arrogant and stern shadowhunter. There is this one, I don't care about anything, I am not moved by anything, Jace, and then there is this vulnerable layer that really brings the character close to you, because we all are vulnerable in some sort, and it really makes you connect with him. And then there is also this lovable layer which would make all the girls want Jace in their life. I mean, you can't help but fall for Jace. Seriously, that's what I feel. What do you guys think? I also love the sibling family vibe going on in this book, because I'm an only child, so I did not have that sibling experience for first, and then I do not have a good relationship with my cousins as well, so I never got to experience that amazing vibe, and experiencing that through the books, it's just like really cool. Seriously guys, my favorite part in this book is what goes on between Alec and Isabel and their sibling bond. It's just a really good point in this book. Made me enjoy it so much. And also, as there are more characters in the book, there are also more downwarders in the book. I loved how fairies were depicted and described in the book. I feel like authors, this is why I am reading Model Instrument series. I may get bored, but this author has a talent for writing fantasy. This author just knows how it's done. This author knows how to put in romance, how to put in humor, how to put in mystery, how to put in thrill, how to put in a crime novel scene happening, how to put in a good villain, how to put in a good lover, how to put in a good side character, how to put in good supporting characters, how to put in good world building. She knows everything. Like, there are 10 more things or maybe 100 more things I can talk about which make a good fantasy novel. And as you keep reading her books, you would know that she has put in everything into her books, which is why people love it, you know. As a normal reader, you would not really notice all of these things, but these things will subconsciously affect on you and make you like the book. So I would definitely recommend this book to all the authors who write fantasy or want to write fantasy, because yeah, this is how it's written, guys. So I was discussing about the world building. It definitely amazes me. And honestly, when you talk about fairies, the way they were introduced in the book, you will see that it was a very short introduction and it was very simple. But the delivery, you know, there are so many ways to write a book. There are so many ways to say simple things. And you can say those beautifully and you can also say those terribly. I have read the books which say simple things terribly. But this is a book which says simple things in a beautiful manner, and it's awesome. The way she makes a beautiful and great world and weaves a story around it, it's just like inspiring. Honestly, she has enough twists in her story. She has enough emotions in her story. She has enough subplots going on. She has great storytelling skills and cliffhangers. I don't want to say it again, but a fantasy book should be written like this. See, I can do a different rant on how people write fantasy novels, because let's just say that I am trying a lot of fantasy and I have tried a lot of fantasy written by Indian authors as well. And I just hate how people are fascinated with fantasy, because come on, everybody who has really read fantasy, a good fantasy, they are fascinated by it. And there are some people who want to write a fantasy because they are so fascinated by it. But fantasy is not so easy. You really need your research, you really need your readings to do. And if you do not do that, and if you write a shallow piece of work and thrust it into the reader's hand, they are going to hate it. They're going to go into reading slump because of you. Lastly, yeah, this book still grossed me out at several levels, and that was because of the sibling plot. And honestly, it was intended to be that way quite clearly, which makes it a big success. And this also reminds me, I read a book which was similar, quite similar to this one, and I was very disgusted. I have read Game of Thrones. I really liked it. And this one also, it bothered me at some level, and not really because of that plot, but because I really wanted these characters to end up together. And now, with that sibling plot, I was like, they are never going to end up together, and I was so heartbroken. Okay, that was the case. I was not really like feeling disgusted over it, but I have read books where I felt disgusted over it because the author just thrust this plot line into the plot and, you know, sold it in such a bad manner. I don't even want to talk about this book. But yeah, this one I was more disappointed because I wanted these two characters to end up together, and it was testing my patience and it was testing my feelings, because how can these two be together if this is happening, right? So I believe that the author played very well with my emotions, and it was really cool. So good points to the author for that. But then again, it really is a lesson for a lot of authors that the power you have with fiction is that you can sell anything to your reader, but you have to be able to sell it. You have to be able to write it in a way that it's sellable. You have to work hard on that. You have to read books which can do that, and you have to learn from that. Maybe read Model Instrument series to learn that. And lastly, Clary is a character that I cannot really love. Like, just imagine you hate the protagonist of the novel. Do not think I would ever like Clary. I did not like her in the third book as well. And as far as I can remember, I did not like her in the fourth book as well. I'm reading the fourth book again. So I really do not like Clary at all. I feel like she is the main character, and she obviously gets her sort of like special powers and stuff like that. But I really do not like Clary. Yes, I think that's enough for discussion on City of Ashes. That's enough of a diary for me to remember this book forever, so that I can just understand how I felt while reading this book. And I hope this discussion really gave you some points to think over. It really gave you a new perspective towards reading books. If it did, make sure you hit a thumbs up and comment down below with what you think about this book if you have already read it. And I really hope you are not watching if you haven't read it, because yeah, you just spoil yourself on a very big level, and that's not good for you. But yes guys, this is the end of this video, this book review of City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, and this will be signing off. I'll be back with another video very soon.